The hospital called me at 5:47 in the morning and said my twin brother was alive. That sentence should never have needed saying, but this was the second time he had lost hope, and the first time, nobody called me at all. His son and his son's wife had hidden everything from me, while my brother suffered alone inside his own home. When I finally learned the truth, I walked through their front door wearing his face, his clothes, his identity. They thought they had broken a helpless old man. They had no idea who had just walked in. Some elements of this story are fictional, shaped for entertainment. The truth inside it is not. I was at my kitchen table in Greenwich when the phone rang, and I knew before I answered that something had broken. 30 years of federal financial crime investigations had rewired something in me. I hadn't slept past 6 in the morning since the Clinton administration. So when the screen lit up with a Pasadena area code, I picked up on the first ring. "Mr. Cole, this is Patricia Morgan, charge nurse at Huntington Memorial. I'm calling about your brother, Ethan Cole." My hand tightened on the mug. "What happened to my brother?" "He was brought in by ambulance 2 hours ago. 2 fractured ribs, significant dehydration, and some findings the attending physician will want to discuss with you directly." A pause, deliberate. Before he lost consciousness in the ER, he kept repeating the same phrase. He said, "Don't call my son. He'll be angry." 7 words. In 30 years of investigations, I'd learned the most important information is rarely the loudest. It's what someone says when the pain gets too big to manage the story anymore. "I'll be on the next flight," I said, and I was already standing. Ethan and I were identical twins, same crooked nose from a childhood accident, same jaw. People who met us together mixed up our names constantly, but we had never been the same person. I'd spent my career learning that money reveals character, more honestly than almost anything else. Ethan spent his teaching history to teenagers, believing every word of it. He had one son, Marcus, 38, running a real estate investment firm Ethan had helped bankroll. Sold his first house for it, co-signed loans, never once asked for anything back. 4 years ago, I'd told Ethan he was giving too much. He laughed and said, "That's not giving too much, Nathan. That's just being a father." I hadn't pushed. I should have. I landed at LAX by 11, and by noon, I was walking into room 214 at Huntington Memorial. Ethan was propped against 2 pillows, thinner than I'd ever seen him, his shoulders curved inward like a man bracing against weather that had gone on too long. When he saw me, his face crumpled. "Nathan, you didn't have to. I told them not to." I pulled a chair close and gripped his forearm. "I'm here." He told me he'd fallen in the garage reaching for a box, that his back had been giving him trouble. I waited until he looked at me. "You told the paramedics not to call Marcus. You said he'd be angry." His jaw locked. He turned toward the window. "I don't remember saying that." "Yes, you do." The doctor came in and pointed to imaging of Ethan's forearms. The bruising pattern is inconsistent with a single fall. It suggests repeated incidents or sustained contact with hard surfaces over time. We're required to flag this for our patient advocate. Ethan stared at the ceiling, saying nothing. After the doctor left, I picked up the small overnight bag beside the bed, and in the outer pocket was a notebook. Soft cover, cracked spine, the kind a person reaches for at night when the thoughts get too loud. Ethan's eyes cut to it, and something moved across his face. Not anger. Something rarer. The look of a man watching his last private thing get found. "Nathan," his voice cracked. "I've got you," I said. "Whatever's in here." 63 pages. I read every word, the handwriting drifting looser page by page. Day 8. Marcus said I shouldn't manage my own accounts anymore. He took the bank card anyway. Day 15. Olivia told me I was a burden at dinner, like a reminder. Day 22. They decided I shouldn't drive. Marcus took the keys. Day 30. I tried to call Nathan. The house line had been disconnected. Day 44. My back gave out in the garage. Marcus said I was being dramatic. Day 51. I think I deserve this. I gave Marcus everything, and somewhere along the way, I gave him too much. Something moved through my chest that wasn't anger, something older and colder. "How long?" I asked. 14 months, he finally said. Maybe longer. It was gradual. What are you going to do? He asked. I'm going in, I said. As you. He stared at me. Nathan, we're identical. Marcus hasn't spent real time with you in months. You said so yourself. I go in, find out exactly what's been done, collect what I need, then it ends. There was something else. A conservatorship petition filed with the court, sitting in his hospital intake file. Marcus was trying to have his own father declared legally incapacitated. The color drained from Ethan's face. He can't. His voice went to nothing. Sign the power of attorney, I told him. It gives me legal authority to act on your behalf. Everything I do inside that house becomes legitimate. It protects you. It protects me. I called Detective Carol Waters that night, who ran the Elder Financial Abuse Unit at LA County Sheriff's. I told her the plan. Impersonate my twin, live inside the house under his power of attorney, build a case from the inside. That's either the most professional thing I've ever heard or the most insane, she said. Then, let's talk about how we do this correctly. I also called an elder law attorney, James Okafor, who filed a counter-petition and got the conservatorship hearing delayed by morning. The next day I sat in a barber's chair in Pasadena with a photo of Ethan from 2 Christmases ago and said, "Make me look like this." 22 minutes later I looked in the mirror and felt something shift that I wasn't prepared for. I put on his flannel shirt, his khakis, the cracked leather Seiko our mother gave him, and the ring our father gave us both at 21. Then I drove to the house. Olivia opened the door. Composed, warm on the surface, measuring underneath. "Dad, you look better than I expected." The word landed in my stomach like something counterfeit. "Marcus will be pleased." She showed me to my room, Ethan's own bedroom, now fitted with a push-button lock on the outside. The knock came at 4:53 the next morning. Olivia, dressed and holding coffee she wasn't offering me. "The garden needs watering. Then the storage boxes need moving to the right wall. Breakfast is at 7. Don't be late." I watered Ethan's neglected garden, moved 43 boxes, and understood with total clarity what 14 months of this had done to him. Not the big cruelties, but the small ones that arrive before sunrise and grind a person down day after day. Breakfast was cold toast on the counter, while Olivia ate eggs at the table. "Marcus wants to go over paperwork this weekend," she said. "Asset transfers, trust documentation." When I said I'd want to review it first, something flickered behind her composure, the look of someone encountering unexpected resistance from a source she'd filed as reliable. That night, I texted Waters everything. Her reply: "The love doesn't stop, it just gets used against them." On the third morning, Olivia left for 2 hours. I had 4 minutes head start, and I used them. The filing cabinet's bottom drawer held household records. The locked top drawer took me 3 minutes to pick. Inside, a property transfer agreement conveying Ethan's house, 22 years of his life, to Marcus. Signed and notarized January 14th. Ethan had been unconscious in the hospital that entire day. The notary seal belonged to a man whose commission had lapsed 14 months earlier. Forgery. Notary fraud. I photographed everything and sent it to Waters. A second folder held 2 sets of financial records for Marcus's company, real numbers, and the version shown to investors. Roughly $3 million of discrepancy over 18 months. A third folder, thinner, nearly missed, printed emails between Olivia and Marcus spanning 8 months. The timeline needs to move up. Once the conservatorship is approved, everything transfers automatically. And, from Marcus about an accountant refusing to sign fraudulent reports, "I'll deal with it." Olivia's reply: "Don't deal with it. Terminate him today. NDA with the severance." That evening I found, hidden behind old tax returns in a second compartment, a 41-page conservatorship petition, filed 6 weeks earlier, built from real events twisted just enough to mean something else entirely. A medical incapacity declaration, signed by a doctor with 2 quiet board complaints, a man who'd never treated Ethan in his life. The hearing was 17 days out. If it went through, Marcus would gain total legal control over every part of Ethan's life. I called Waters. "That's fraud on the court," she said. "If this goes through, Ethan loses everything, permanently." She opened a formal elder abuse investigation and started the process for a stay. I spent the following days finding witnesses. Margaret Collins, the neighbor, who'd watched Marcus scream at Ethan in freezing weather over a trash bin, watched him carry boxes alone in July heat, while Marcus sat on the porch, watched him locked outside in the rain for 20 minutes. She'd called Adult Protective Services once. Marcus had smoothly talked his way out of it. I should have pushed harder, she said, crying. She agreed to give a formal statement. Frank Delgado, Ethan's 40-year friend, whose calls from Ethan had abruptly stopped 18 months earlier, ending with a 4-line text. Marcus thinks it's better this way. I'm sorry. He agreed to testify too. Then a text arrived from an unknown number. I know you're not Ethan. We need to talk. M. It was Daniel Crawford, Marcus's former business partner, pushed out by Olivia 20 months earlier. He'd noticed I walked wrong, led with the wrong shoulder. He had emails proving Olivia had been designing the conservatorship framework 18 months before it was ever filed. He sent everything straight to Waters. I met Raymond Holt, the fired CFO, at a coffee shop. He'd refused to falsify Marcus's investor reports and been walked out by security the same afternoon. He'd spent 6 weeks documenting everything before that. 2 full sets of books, internal emails ordering the fraud, a spreadsheet tracking 12 families' retirement savings being used to cover other obligations. He'd been waiting 8 months for someone credible enough to corroborate it. Someone came, I told him, and watched a man exhale 8 months of held breath. Back at the house, Dr. Susan Porter, Ethan's real physician for 9 years, recognized instantly that something was wrong with Ethan in her exam room. I wrote 7 words on her notepad. I am not Ethan. I am his brother. She didn't flinch. She scheduled a follow-up exam Olivia couldn't refuse and began building a clinical record. In the car afterward, Olivia's knuckles went white on the wheel. She called Marcus that night. Come home tomorrow morning. Something is off. Marcus arrived early, hugged me like a man reciting a line, and cornered me in a chair with 2 fingers of whiskey he didn't offer to share. Under my collar was a small recording device, cleared by court order. The company's had some difficulty, he said, leaning in. If people ask questions, we may need to show you were involved. Your signature's already on some documents. You might not remember the details. That's okay. That's normal. It's actually your protection. He was explaining, in the gentlest possible language, how he planned to frame his own father as complicit in his fraud. Every word went straight to Waters, 4 blocks away. Ethan flew back from Greenwich the next day, steadier than I'd seen him. In Dr. Porter's office, he told her everything. The locked door, the 5 a.m. wake-ups, the meals eaten standing at the counter. When his voice broke, she said, "What happened to you has a name. Elder abuse and neglect. It is not something you caused. Something in him settled. I want to be there Thursday," he told me. "He's my son. I need to be the one who looks at him." We assembled everyone in a hotel conference room the night before. Waters, Raymond, Dr. Porter, Daniel, Okafor. The plan: I'd go in as scheduled to sign the final paperwork. Waters and 2 deputies would move the moment the documents hit the table. Ethan would follow 30 seconds later. The next morning, in a Century City conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows, Marcus's lawyer slid 41 pages across the table with a pen already in place. I picked up the pen, then set it back down. I took off the ring our father gave us both and placed it on the table. "Dad, what?" The door opened. Waters walked in with 2 deputies and an Adult Protective Services rep. "This proceeding is over," she said, laying out the elder abuse investigation, the court-ordered recording, the DFPI cease and desist freezing every account tied to the transfers, including the house. I stood. "My name is not Ethan. My name is Nathan Cole. I'm his twin brother." I placed the folder of evidence on the table. Marcus's mouth opened and nothing came out. The door opened again. Ethan walked in his own clothes, his own watch back on his own wrist. Marcus looked at his actual father, and his face broke completely. "Dad," his voice shattered on the syllable. "I know," Ethan said. Quiet. Absolute. "I know, Marcus." That was all. Waters read Marcus his rights. Olivia, calculating even as it collapsed around her, asked her own lawyer, already on standby, about cooperation. Marcus turned on her in real time. You drafted the timeline. You found the doctor. You told me to fire Raymond. You were there. She said nothing, but her face, just for a second, told him everything. Before they took him out, Marcus looked up at his father. I told myself it was to protect you. Ethan crossed the room, put a hand briefly on his son's head, the way a father touches a child who's done something that can't be undone. I need time, he said. That's all I can tell you right now. We walked out together into the ordinary fluorescent light of the hallway. Outside the windows, Los Angeles stretched to the Pacific, indifferent and glittering. Marcus was charged with elder financial abuse, forgery, and wire fraud. Olivia's cooperation reduced her exposure, but didn't erase it. Conspiracy and elder abuse. Her legal ambitions over for good. The forged property transfer was voided. The conservatorship petition was dismissed. Raymond was recognized as a protected whistleblower. The 12 defrauded families began recovering their savings. Ethan went home to Pasadena that April. He called Frank from his own kitchen, standing at his own sink, and talked for an hour. He planted new roses along the fence in May. By August, the photographs were back on the hallway walls. We sat in his backyard one evening in August, coffee going cold, watching the light turn the San Gabriel Mountains gold and then amber. Marcus called, Ethan said. He said he was sorry. He was crying. What did you say? I said I needed more time. He turned the mug in his hands. I've said that 3 times now. Each time I mean it a little differently. This time I think I meant, I'm not ready to decide what comes next, but I'm not closing the door. That's more than he deserves, I said. Probably, Ethan said, but it's what I have. He asked me once what the hardest part had been, wearing his life for 2 weeks. I told him it was understanding how a person gets to a sentence like, maybe I deserve this. How 14 months of small, barely survivable things add up to a man who no longer remembers what an ordinary Monday felt like. That's the part that kept me angry enough to keep going, I said. Ethan nodded slowly. He counted on that, the smallness of it. I kept waiting for the one big moment I could point to. There wasn't one. Just Tuesday after Tuesday, until I forgot what Mondays used to feel like. I had nothing to add. It was the truest description of what I'd witnessed from the inside that I'd ever heard. 30 years of chasing the truth never touched something in me the way this did. I almost missed it, almost let distance become the excuse, while my brother disappeared, one Tuesday at a time. Don't be me. Don't wait for the call that comes at 5:47 in the morning. If someone you love is going quiet, making excuses for the people around them, that silence is not nothing. That silence is a notebook waiting to be found. Family betrayal is rarely loud. Sometimes it's a locked door with the handle on the wrong side. Sometimes it's the word dad, spoken with perfect warmth by someone quietly counting what you're worth. This is a story about what love costs when it's used against you, and what it recovers when someone finally shows up.